This video is brought to you by Mountain Dew. What's up, guys? Michael here to talk about the importance of not associating with infamous teen superheroes while applying to MIT. Or, you know, Spider-Man No Way Home, the biggest installment of MCU Phase 4 to date. And a movie that's so hard not to spoil that we'll say this earlier than usual. Spoilers ahead for Spider-Man No Way Home and all the previous Spider-Man films. So please step away from your device if you want a spoiler-free experience of the movie. Okay. Now that that's taken care of, ever since we saw this movie, we can't stop thinking about its most philosophically interesting aspect. No, it's not the multiverse, though that's cool, and you should definitely stick around for the post-credit scene. Today, we want to talk about identity, meaning how we become who we are, who is involved in this process, and how our identities can be changed and challenged. So put all your magical spells in a safely sealed box, put down your signed copy of Flashpoint, and grab your favorite donut and coffee combo, because today we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. What makes a Spider-Man? But before we get into it, I wanted to take a second to talk about this episode's sponsor, Mountain Dew. There are times when you're looking for something to drink and you know that only one drink will do. Mountain Dew. The next time you want a truly refreshing break, you deserve more than just to be satisfied. You deserve to be totally blown away, which is what you'll get from Mountain Dew. And from the concept of the multiverse, but mostly from Mountain Dew. And now, back to the show. Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, has had a rough time during his run in the MCU. He's fought a purple sack chin titan set on destroying half the life in the galaxy, he's been snapped into oblivion for 5 years, and he's had to watch his mentor and surrogate father figure die, all while trying to survive the Infinity War that is high school. All of these experiences have profoundly shaped his identity. Infinity War and Endgame have left him kind of traumatized. Losing Tony has made him even more dependent on Aunt May and his wannabe Uncle Happy. And his relationships with Ned and MJ have given him the somewhat carefree joy of a teenager who is dating Zendaya. This type of identity formation can be explained via what Scottish philosopher David Hume called the bundle theory of the self. This basically means that our self-identities are completely made up of bundles of impressions, which are just the various experiences we have in our lives. This means that before you have experiences, you don't have a self-identity, no matter how precocious of a baby you were. Your identity will be completely formed by what happens to you across the course of your life, because things happen to us. For example, we find out our high school crush's dad is trying to kill us while wearing a bird costume. Those experiences, unfortunately, create memories in our brains. Those memories then join the bundle of impressions of other things that have happened to us, and so on and so on. This is an interesting way to think about one of the film's biggest surprises, and again, major spoiler alert, the reintroduction of previous Spider-Men, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. But let's be honest, we all saw it coming. Because even though all three Spider-Men are variants of Peter Parker, they all have their own unique character and identity. You have Holland, the kid still figuring it all out, who's wounded but ever earnest and hopeful. Then there's Maguire, the youth pastor of the gang, who's older and more experienced. He has a calm maturity and a bad lower back that comes from years of swinging around town. And then there's Garfield, who, for his part, has the emo energy of an overachieving elder millennial who still hasn't quite made the leap to full adulthood. It would suck to be in that scenario. Even though these three men are all Peter Parker and are all Spider-Man, their identities are all distinct due to their unique experiences. And in the case of Garfield Spider-Man, we get to see his identity grow in real time. When he saves MJ from falling to her death, he is able to relive and reprocess the trauma of losing Gwen in a similar fall, and the guilt he feels about not saving her. And this theory of identity helps us to understand Peter's plan to cure the film's villains, inspired in part by Aunt May's conviction that everyone deserves a chance to change. Also, R.I.P. Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. She was a real one. Because under this thinking, folks like Dr. Octavius aren't born inherently evil. Rather, they're damaged due to violent and traumatic experiences, like falling into a vat of electric eels. As a result, they are just as able to have experiences that reshape their identities as a sensitive Spider-Man is. But of course, there is some essential similarity between all three Spider-Men, even if they have all had different experiences in different corners of the multiverse. Like how super tall people likely have some things in common because of their shared physical experience of hitting their heads on low beams and cramming their legs into economy airline seats. In this case, our three spider guys all share share the material and biological similarity of having powers given to them via a spider bite, even if only one of them is able to shoot white goo out of his wrist. In tandem, they share an understanding of how isolating being extraordinary is. Jean-Paul Sartre, who oddly enough shares some fashion sensibility with Doc Ock, used the term facticity to describe the concrete details and facts upon which our human freedom exists. Facticity means that our freedom and identity are limited by both concrete circumstances and previous choices. For example, someone born short doesn't have the freedom to be a center in the NBA because of a fact outside of their own control. Similarly, if you get a radioactive spider bite, the course of your life has probably been irrevocably changed. But in the film, as in our own corner of the multiverse, the Peters' identities aren't wholly wrapped up in their amazing bundles of memories or in their spider-spiked bodies. Their identities have also been shaped by the world around them, by their immediate friends, their families, their enemies, and their positions in society at large. Holland's Peter is who he is, not just because of his various memories, but also in how others perceive him. Tony recognizing Peter as capable of being an Avenger drastically shifted his identity, just like how MJ recognizing him as a worthy makeout buddy did. In these cases, his identity is shaped when he internalizes the image of himself reflected to him by others, which is one of the reasons that it's so damn upsetting when Peter tells Doctor Strange, or Steven, to cast a spell that will erase the memory of Peter's identity from the entire fucking multiverse. Because in doing so, Peter is no longer going to be fully recognized for who he is by, well, anyone. For a lot of social philosophers in the post-Hegelian tradition, recognition, and in particular mutual recognition, is crucial. It's the process by which our identity is shaped. It takes place when our consciousness is recognized by other consciousnesses. At a fundamental level, this means that an aspect of becoming a thinking human is being recognized as a thinking human by other thinking humans. At a social level, this means that being recognized as a member of society, a friend, an object of ethical consideration, etc., fundamentally shapes your identity. But by the end of the film, Peter has lost most, if not all, of the forms of social recognition that shaped who he was. His aunt is dead. His friends and potential college administration advocates don't remember him. And he's no longer the most famous person on Earth, an experience which did shape him for better or mostly for worse. In a sense, this allows the movie to basically kill this iteration of Spider-Man and hit the reset button on his identity. Hume might say that he still has the bundle of memories that helped create his identity. But at the level of social identity, he's pretty shit out of luck. Or, I guess, shit out of shared recognition. With no friends, family, or fellow Avengers to affirm his identity, he's just some guy in a shitty apartment, making his own costumes on a sewing machine, and trolling the Nextdoor app so that he can jump into neighborhood crime. So basically me, if I lose my job and my wife leaves me for a tech CEO on the same day. So, who is Spider-Man going to be moving forward? Hell if we know, but we do know that without Stark Tech, his friends, or his family, all he has is fading memories from a life he can never return to. It's all super sad. So hold on to your memories and be nice to your friends, because if you don't, you too might lose some or all of your identity. But what do you guys think? Does Tom Holland's Spider-Man still exist even if nobody recognizes him? Let us know in the comments. Big thanks to our patrons for recognizing our work, and don't forget to check out our podcast. Hit that subscribe button like you're curing it of its evil tendencies, and don't forget to ring that bell. And as always, thanks for watching. Later.